All right, I want you to go ahead and do the bell work problem on your own. Go ahead and do that bell work problem on your own. All right, is everybody finished with the bell work? All right, so the equation 9/5 Celsius plus 32 changes Celsius to Fahrenheit temperature. If the Fahrenheit is negative 31, what is the Celsius? So if I have my Fahrenheit that's negative 31, all I have to do is solve for the variable. So I'm going to subtract 32 from both sides. From here, I'm just going to use the reciprocal to get rid of that 5/9. And just put calculator, and we get negative 35, which matches A. Any questions on that one? All right, let's look at our example problems. We are still working on equations with variables on both, solving for variables. Now we're going to be looking at variables on both sides. So I'm going to draw my line. My goal is to get all my variables to one side and all my numbers to one side. All right, so I'm going to start with my numbers. So I'm going to start with my variables. I like to move the smaller variable. That helps me avoid some negatives. So I'm going to move my 2K. You can work it the other way. If you want to move your 6K, it works the same way. You're just going to deal with negatives. Not everybody's great with negatives. Now I have my variables all to one side, so now I'm going to work on getting my numbers all to one side. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Divide both sides by 4. And I get K equals 4. This should be a review from 8th grade. We did quite a bit of these, especially if you had me. All right, so why don't you go ahead and try number 2 by yourself. I'm going to look at some harder ones after that. We've got an next answer. Check with your partner. Alright, are we still working on it? Alright. I will say this. You're going to get some graded work back today, and some of you are struggling with this. Guys, I do believe in the power of having a partner. So if you are sitting with a partner that is not working for you, and maybe they're also struggling, or maybe there's someone who won't talk to you, or whatever the case is, there's no assigned seats in here. You can change partners. Alright? And you do what's best for you and your education. A couple of you I'm going to be talking to about your grade in my class right now. Alright, let's go and look at this one. So I would have moved my smaller one, and since this is a negative 2/10 and this is a positive 2/10, I would have moved my negative because it's the smaller. So I'm going to add 2/10 p to both sides. Now, if you didn't do it this way, that's okay. You can do it both ways. This gives me 6/10 p minus 10. Have my variable on one side, so now I'm going to move my number. Gives me 18 equals decimal 6/10 p. Divide both sides by 0.6. And p equals 30. For those of you who moved, if I have anybody who moved the 4p, I worked it that way on a separate card. So I subtracted 4p, well, 4/10 p from both sides. Gave me 8 minus 6/10 p. Then I subtracted 8 from both sides. You see that this way just involves having a negative coefficient. Divide both sides by negative 6/10. P equals 30. Get the same answer either way. So it doesn't really matter which way, just I prefer avoiding negatives if I can. Questions on that one? Alright, let's look at number 3. Number 3, I have 3 different places that have variables, which means that I'm going to have to combine first. So there's nothing I can do on the left side yet. I'm going to just write the left side down. And then on the right side, I'm going to combine my c's. I have 7c minus 2c, which is 5c, and bring down my minus 14. So in this case, because I had 3 variables present, I had to combine my like terms first. So I'm going to move my 5c, just because it's the smaller one. Negative 14 is left on the right side. 8 minus 5 is 3c. Bring down my plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides. Get negative 15. Divide both sides by 3. You get c equals negative 5. Again, by moving that smaller coefficient, it helps me avoid a negative coefficient. Coefficient's the number in front of a variable. Questions? Alright, number 4. I have quite a few of you making this same mistake on repeat. So we're going to take this one a little bit slow and reinforce this. Guys, if I have a subtraction in front of my parentheses, I have to add a line, change a sign. That now changes that to a negative 7, and I am distributing a negative 7. Some of you add a line, change sign, but then you didn't distribute the negative. Some of you only distributed to part of it. Some of you didn't even do add a line, change a sign. Alright, so I have my 5 that stays the same. Bring down my plus. Negative 7 times t is negative 7t. Bring down my plus sign. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. Bring down my right side that I didn't get to use yet. So I only have two variables, but I do have 3 numbers by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and combine these like numbers. 5 plus a negative 7 is negative 2. Still left with plus a negative 7t. This side, I didn't do anything. I'm going to move the smaller. Which one is smaller, negative 7 or negative 10? Which one is smaller, negative 7 or negative 10? Negative 10. Those of you telling me negative 7. Negative 7 is not smaller than negative 10. So I'm going to move my negative 10. So I'm going to add 10t to both sides. Cancels on this side, leaving me with just a positive 3. I'm left with negative 2, and a negative 7 plus 10 gives me a 3t, which gets me all the negatives for my coefficient. Add 2 to both sides. Divide both sides by 3, and we are 100% okay with an improper fraction as long as it is simplified. Questions on that one? Guys, notice each lesson we add a different skill. We're building up. Alright, let's go to the back side. What do we do when we have fractions and we need to solve for a variable? Cross multiply. I had a couple of you miss this too. Kind of weirdly, actually, and I tried to write notes on your graded papers, which you're going to get back today. But when I cross multiply, I do one at a time. Don't try to do a bunch of steps at once. I'm going to do my 6 times my m plus 15. Some of you tried to do that in your head, and you got 6m plus 15. But is that what it's going to be once I distribute it? Some of you did 6 times m plus 9. And then I had some of you who did 6 times 3. And you haven't learned how to do m plus 9 times m plus 15, so you got a little stuck. That's some really funny things going on there. Then I'm going to do 3 times my m plus my 9. Realizing that it's not just 3 times m, it's 3 times the whole thing. This actually means I'm doing m plus 9, m plus 9, m plus 9. 3 times. Alright, now I'm going to distribute 6m plus 6 times 15, which is 90, I believe. I'm trying to do math mental at 8 o'clock in the morning. The other side is 3 times m. Bring down my addition. 3 times 9 is 27. I'm going to move my smaller variable to avoid negative coefficient. So I'm going to move my 3m minus 3m from both sides. Cancels, leaving me with 27. My left side, 6 minus 3 is 3m plus 90. I now have my variables on one side, so I need to work on moving just the numbers. So minus 90 minus 90 cancels, leaving me 3m. 27 minus 90 is negative 63. Divide both sides by the 3. And I get negative 21. Questions on that one? Alright, try number 6 on your own. When you have an answer for 6, check with your partner. When you're done, I want you checking with your partner. Get in the habit of doing that, guys. Use that. right, are we ready to look at it? Okay, I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds. All right, let's look at it. I'm going to cross multiply. Sorry, I need to sneeze all of a sudden. Thanks. Negative 1 times d minus 1 equals 3 times d plus 2. Distribute. This is going to be a negative 1d, or just negative d. Bring down my subtraction. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and change that subtract a negative to add a line, change sign. This side is going to be 3d plus 3 times 2 is 6. I'm going to move my smaller, which is my negative 1d, so I'm just going to add 1d to both sides. Or you could have just done a d. This leaves me with a positive 1 on the left. 4d plus 6. Subtract 6 from both sides. Divide both sides by 4. And I'm left with negative 5/4. Or negative 1.25, but I'm going to keep it as an improper fraction because I'm not going to do more work than I have to. All right, questions on 6. All right, let's look at number 7 together. Rachel and Amanda are planting tulip bulbs. Rachel has planted 45 bulbs and is planting at a rate of 30 per hour. That per is a multiplication word. So I have Rachel, who she's already done 45, so we're going to go ahead and give her credit for those 45, plus 30 per hour. So 30 times each hour. Oh, can't see that. Okay, there's Rachel's. Amanda, planning at a rate of 36 per hour. That's another multiplication word. So she's doing 36 per hour. So she's doing more per hour, correct? And she's already planted 27. So let's give her credit for those 27. Anybody confused on how I set both of these up? All right. How long will it take Rachel and Amanda to plant the same number? How do I represent sameness in math? Equal. Very good. So I'm looking for an equal. So our equation is going to be Rachel's. It's going to be equal to Amanda's. Some of us are not reading the questions, and you're losing points because you're not answering the actual question. So this one has 2 questions. How long will it take Rachel and Amanda to plant the same number? So we're going to solve for our H. But there's a second question. At that time, how many bulbs will each girl have planted? So we also want to know how many bulbs were planted. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and solve for this. start by moving my smaller variable. So I'm going to move my 30h. Leaving me with just 45 on the left. And 6h plus 27 on the right. Subtract 27 from both sides. We get 18. Divide both sides by 6. And it will take 3 hours for the girls to have planted the same. So that answers one question. But remember, there's 2. So now, does it matter which equation I go back to? Does it? Do I? No, because we just saw for when they'd be the same. So actually, I could plug it in either. So I'm just going to take the first one, 45 plus 30 times my h, which is 3. So 45 plus 90, which is 135. So that's going to be how many bulbs they each planted. Now just to show you, they definitely should be the same, because isn't this a great way to check and make sure I worked it right? Is go back and plug it into the other one. 36 times 3 plus 27. 108 plus 27 is 135. So it's a good way to go ahead and check and make sure. Same thing with, this isn't related to this problem, but the same one where we have a perimeter of a triangle. Guys, at the end, if you add those 3 sides together, they should equal what the perimeter equaled, or if not, you did something wrong. All right, any questions on this lesson? All right, I'm going to pass out the assignments. Nope, I'm not. Assignments tomorrow. You have the rest of class to work on your benchmark. If you are done, find something quiet to do.